And welcome back into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. We are here to discuss a Day 2 NFL mock draft for the Dallas Cowboys, now with 3 picks set for today. 1 in the second and 2 in the third, thanks to the Cowboys trade down in round 1. They still acquired Tyler Guyton in that first round, the offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. Now they have pick 56, pick 73, and pick 87. They're in better shape than what they were going into this year's draft. It's now 8 picks total, 4 of them in the top 90, despite not having a big gap between 87 and 174. More trades, by the way, certainly are an option for Dallas as they try to reacquire some lacking draft capital. First up, overall, my best available players on the board. Now, I don't think Dallas is going to show that much interest in Johnny Newton. That's okay. I don't think he gets to get pick 56 anyway. Jackson Powers-Johnson. I'll merge Zach Frazier in this conversation here as well, even though he's down there at number 8 for me. Centers. I would love it if one of those guys had made it to 56. I don't know if they will. We know that JPJ was a pre-draft visit for Dallas. They passed on him in round 1, reporting that he wasn't an option for them in the first round. So maybe they weren't as high on him. Maybe the medical's a red flag. Maybe the interview didn't go that great. But that is something to monitor for a potential slide there. I doubt guys like Kool-Aid McKinstry, Ladd McConkey, Cooper DeJean, A.D. Mitchell fall to you anyway, but those are some of my best available players. Kingsley Suamataia is probably not a fit since you just took Tyler Guyton. Edgerrin Cooper is a name to monitor. I don't know if he gets to 56. I'd be pleasantly surprised if he did because I take that one in a heartbeat. I think linebacker and running back in some order today are going to be the picks, or at least 2 of the 3 picks. Like they are hunting those spots pretty heavily. Mike Sainristil, Keon Coleman. Maybe you try Cooper Beebe at center. Could be an option for you. A lot of receivers like Roman Wilson, Troy Franklin, Coleman. I don't think they get to you, but it's a good receiver class. I'd have a lot of interest there. Of course, as we'll get into, one name stands out. This team is in love with Jonathon Brooks. Jerry Jones has not hid that at all. Maybe with pick 73, you cross your fingers, one of Brooks or Benson get to you there instead of 56. That might be stretching it a little bit there. My concern is that Dallas gets antsy and trades up for Brooks, which would kind of negate the whole purpose of trading down in round 2 in the first place, or in round 1 in the first place. So would you trade up in the second round? Why for yes and for no? It's the pinned comment here on today's video. It is very clear this team is in love with Jonathon Brooks, that they desperately want him to be a Cowboy. You got Jerry Jones out there in his Tyler Guyton press conference talking about how much, wow, Jonathon Brooks had the best interview we've had in 30 years here. We love him. He's very, very high on our board. Everyone already knows this. Can you hide it a little bit? Like, everyone in the world knows, hey, if you want Brooks, you got to get to pick 55. You have to call the Dolphins, say, hey, we'll flip spots with you. Everyone knows that. Make it less obvious, please. And you got Will McClay going out. We got guys. We got a lot of guys we like doing damage control in a press conference. It's terrible by Jerry. Terrible. In general, though, I would love Frazier or Jackson Powers-Johnson. I would love to double dip on the offensive line, fix my starting holes. And now Bass and Hoffman as my 6th and 7th offensive lineman. That's really good for me. I would be very excited about that if Dallas made that happen. In the end, I am assuming Brooks is your round 2 pick. It's been pretty telegraphed. Maybe someone jumps in front of you. Wouldn't be the first time that ends up happening. The extra pick does help. It does. You get now a linebacker, a running back, another offensive lineman, defensive lineman, receiver, whatever. We will enjoy having that extra day 2 pick today, I promise you. Before we get to the mock draft and some other targets here, today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. That is prizepicks.com/CLNS. It has something for every sports fan, basketball, hockey, even League of Legends, by the way. It is the best way to get in on the action in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia, by the way. Weekly promotions, special offers, and more for the biggest moments in sports. There's all different types of different stat options you can do. They've already got their NFL season-long prize pick stuff, or prize projections, I should say, available as well. And I always like to go with the more than on these. I'd also advise flex play in case somebody does end up getting hurt. You still only need to get 3 out of 4 right. More than Mahomes passing yards, more than Dak passing yards, more than Lamb touchdowns, more than Micah Parsons sacks. All those numbers were less than what they had last year because they're already factoring in the risk of injury. So, prize picks. It's pick more, pick less. It is that easy. Link and the code will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Now, I pulled up the old PFN draft sim and said, let's see what happens here, and then we'll get to the picks themselves. Johnny Newton goes early. Cooper DeJean goes to Green Bay. That's kind of hilarious. Unfortunately, Jackson Powers-Johnson, Edgerrin Cooper, and Zach Frazier are all off the board, 44, 50, and 54. Raiders, Eagles, Browns, which stinks. I would love to get one of those guys. And in the end, Dallas just takes the guy that everyone expects them to take. It's Jonathon Brooks, the running back out of Texas. This has been they have not hid their intentions at all. They are not smart enough to do that. Everyone knows that they love Brooks. I don't think the Eagles are going to take him. That's laughable to me. I just want them to don't trade up to get Brooks. Just be patient because I like Benson and Wright a lot. I think you could be happy with those guys as well, even if it's not Jonathon Brooks. So I am begging the Cowboys to be patient and don't panic and force the trade up for a running back, even if he is their best running back on, which I very much believe that he is. But maybe I'm wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. So what's the percent chance Dallas takes Jonathon Brooks in round 2? Is it high? Maybe you think it's all smoke. Sound off in the comments. Some other names to monitor here: Trey Benson, Troy Franklin, Peyton Wilson. I am a big fan of Brandon Dorlus. I don't know if Dallas is, but I like his game a lot. I would love to get him in the 3rd round. He did go off the board between the 2nd and 3rd round pick, though. Chris Jenkins is your trigger warning there. In the 3rd, we'll skip ahead from like the recent picks. Peyton Wilson was there. I wouldn't rule out Junior Colson or Edgerrin Cooper or Peyton Wilson being your pick in round 2. I think one of those linebackers makes a lot of sense. I think Trevin Wallace out of Kentucky makes some sense in this range. I am a big fan of what Peyton Wilson offers from a talent perspective. This is a fantastic athlete who is consistently around the football. The arm length's not great. The medical is a massive concern with double-digit surgeries. He's a top 50 player for me in this year's class. The talent level, I had written this down, and then Brian Broaddus had a similar comment, which makes me feel pretty good about it. There are shades of Luke Kuechly here. He's not as good. He's a poor man's Luke Kuechly. But I comped the Sean Lee, and he tested better than Sean Lee did. They're just injury concerns, but he was awesome in 2023. The depth target isn't elite, but he had 17 TFLs. Like, don't give me this all. He makes no plays around the line of scrimmage. He had 17 and a half tackles for loss. Come on, let's not be ridiculous. I've seen that take out there. That's not. Come on. We will be live for rounds 2 and 3 tonight for every single pick. Same as what it was yesterday. Simulcast to start, then I'm over here on Cowboys for a while. Solo with me and producer Chris. Don't miss out. Hit that sub button right now, youtube.com/@CowboysTV. Round 3, I'll give them the center here. Thought about DT. A couple names we'll get to here in a little bit. Cedric Van Pran Granger, by the way, or Cedric Van Pran. He's going by both these days. It's center. You need a center. I know there are some who aren't in love with him. I totally get that. He's 98th on my board, so it's a little bit of a reach from that perspective, but I think this team is very much hunting for help at the center position. So who do you want to draft on day 2? Is it Brooks? Is it Cooper? Is it Frazier? Is it whatever? Get that player name or player names for me in the comments section. A couple other names to monitor, maybe in that 3rd round range. I think they'd like to look at defensive tackle because they've got no depth there. I don't think Braden Fisk falls to you. Who knows? Ruka Roro or Chris Jenkins in round 2 makes sense. Maybe we get into that late 3rd round. That's Tavondre Sweat range. Dwayne Carter. I'm not as high on Mason Smith. I think Trevin Wallace stands out in the 3rd round as a real possibility because it's a kind of thin linebacking group as far as I'm concerned. One more name to mention here. Maybe you could try one of the guards at center, which would be a Cooper Beebe, maybe not so much Christian Haynes. I think Dominic Puny out of Kansas, who I've got higher on my board than I have Van Pran. that could be an intriguing name to monitor as well. I think all the other running backs, so Benson, Wright, Corum, maybe a Braylon Allen, guys make sense if you don't go Brooks in round 2. You could take one of those guys in round 3. And there were a lot of receivers taken in round 1, 7. I have 19 in my top 100. So there will be a wide receiver. Most likely when you're on the clock that I go, yeah, he's really good. I'm a big fan of his game. Something you got to consider as far as I'm concerned. So we'll see what happens tonight. Make sure you guys are locked in and subscribed.